That was fighting for gay rights, and people were killed.
Nobody was killed at Stonewall.
Nobody was killed.
Season 16 premiered on January 5th, 2024, breaking the record for the most viewed Drag Race premiere episode in over 6 years. It's now been 4 months since then, with the grand finale about to air on April 19th with a top 3 comprised of Saphira Cristál, Plain Jane, and Nymphia Wynne. But who will end up taking the crown and be the main franchise winner of 2024? To celebrate this occasion, I decided to make a video where I just talk about the overall journey that we got with Season 16, the lessons we learned from it, and how it'll hold up in the years to come. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at GreenGayYT, and follow my brand new Instagram and TikTok at itsGreenGay. Now, let's begin. I'm gonna be honest, when it came to first impressions, Season 16 kinda dropped the ball. But it wasn't even just a miss in terms of them choosing a terrible visual aesthetic with the whole military attire or camo theme that was going on. It's just that when you compare it to a lot of what we've gotten in the past seasons, and even with just a year before, like Season 15, it really is night and day in terms of which one executed their promo better. In the same way, the Meet the Queens segment, while the queens were entertaining, there wasn't any that necessarily stuck out from the rest in a meaningful way. But of course, that tends to be the case before we as an audience get more acquainted with the queens. On Season 16 episode 1, the Raid a Queen twist was a cute way of giving a little edge to those first 2 episodes. There wasn't really any risk in doing it either, because nobody's fate was actually in jeopardy aside from losing the chance of being in the top 2. By the end of the episode, I was sort of surprised when Rue announced that Plain Jane had made it into the top 2, because while Rue obviously loved her talent show, it was up to the group vote who would be winning the challenge. Keep in mind that the first thing Plain did when she met these queens was read them all to filth, before finding out about the Raid a Queen twist, subsequently backtracking on her own words so the group wouldn't turn on her. Granted, it ended up working since even though none of them trusted her, almost all of them gave her a good ranking for the challenge. I mean, how funny would it have been if they all just decided to get the last laugh and place Plain Jane on the bottom of the scoreboard? By Season 16 episode 3, both of the groups merged, forming the full cast of the season. It's here that we see the difference in dynamics when it came to playing a cutthroat game, with Plain making it very clear to the whole cast that she's gonna be super messy, particularly going out of her way to make a mandatory meeting her new punching bag. Surprisingly though, by the time it came to the final round of Raid a Queen, Plain places Amanda at the very bottom of her ranking, while Amanda, still being somewhat fair, doesn't place Plain last, and instead puts her somewhere close to it. For the most part though, the Raid a Queen format, while not the most groundbreaking, did leave us interested enough to see how they would reincorporate it in future seasons. The first 2 queens up for elimination are Hershey LaCour-Jeté and Geneva Carr, resulting in Geneva staying and Hershey becoming the first eliminated queen of the season. You know, Hershey LaCour-Jeté had a harsh run as the first out of the season, which is a shame because her talent show was actually a fun campy performance. Yet it was just so bewildering that for a design challenge, she would choose to walk down the runway in a pair of jeans that she found in the pile of stuff available to them. What's worse is that out of the first 3 eliminated queens, Hershey really got buried in terms of audience retention, because Mirage went on to have a shock factor that instantly placed her among people's favorites of the season. And then Amanda had the whole drama with Plain. That being said, everything about Hershey felt genuine, and honestly, the way she handled being the first eliminated queen of the season speaks volumes to the amount of shenanigans that she must have had to deal with in her life already to be able to brush it off the way she did. By Season 16 episode 4, the second elimination round was between Geneva Carr and Mirage. If only Mirage had known the words, she most likely would have stayed, but thanks to her, a new generation of gay kids now know the lyrics to Dark Lady by Cher. Even the way she landed in the bottom was sort of camp in itself. I mean, she asked for the role of host for RDR Live, only for Saphira to also want it, but ended up giving it to Mirage last minute. Now, Saphira is one of those internally chaotic people, because you could see it in her eyes that she knew that while she could totally slay as host, Mirage would clearly have more of a struggle. So while it was a setup, it was funny to see it transpire. Mirage was among the queens that went on to benefit a lot from the lip sync smackdown at the end of the season. Like, just when we thought that she was gonna have to wait for her All-Stars invite to have a chance at showcasing to the world that she can actually lip sync for her life, she got to do it on the same exact season she messed up on. But speaking of, what were your thoughts about the new main stage that they showed? Well, it's uncertain if this will be the new main stage or if it'll just be used for special special occasions, one thing's for sure is that it does open up possibilities for some really good TV moments. The first half of the season was defined by the drama between Plane and Amanda. There was a lot of people online complaining that nothing about the drama that Plane was fabricating felt real, so it didn't make for an entertaining storyline. While it's true that if you compare Plane's approach to starting drama to, let's say, Candy Muse from a couple seasons back, yeah, Candy Muse had a more organic way of getting into conflict with people. But even if Plane's tactics came across as borderline bullying to some, it still gave the viewers what they wanted. We got some really good drama that involved some very real feelings, and suddenly we were all rooting for Amanda Tori Meeting to be able to prove herself as a strong competitor. Granted, she ended up being the third to be eliminated, but it was enough to at least make herself memorable. Season 16 episode 6 was the doll challenge that was a great way to add layers to what would have otherwise been just another sewing challenge. Instead, it gave an added visual for us to compare the queen's creation to its doll version. To this day, I'm still wondering why Nymphia didn't match the pink bows with her doll, but maybe she couldn't afford to use the extra fabric. Overall, the challenges this season were pretty decent, but the one that I still can't seem to get behind was season 16 episode 12, which was the bathroom hunties challenge. My problem sometimes with production is that they try to reinvent the wheel when the wheel doesn't have to be reinvented. So why is it that out of all the type of rooms that the top 6 could have designed, that production decided to give them the theme of designing their own bathrooms? That was kind of weird. I'm actually a big fan of this challenge format since it gives so much room for the queens to engage with a given theme in a creative way. But they should really just let them design clubs like they did on All Stars 4, since it makes sense with their actual job as drag queens. But bathrooms was just out of left field. Like they really had Carson and Michelle sitting on toilets staring at each other. Or maybe I'm just being a prude. So obviously this season wouldn't have been the same without Maya Iman LePage. Even though she lip-synced a lot, she's someone you can't get tired of seeing perform. When she walked into the workroom saying that she was the queen of flips, a part of me wondered how she could claim to be the queen of flips when we've seen so many talented queens do a lot of wild tricks and stunts. But when she began doing it over and over again, all I could think was how she was able to make it look so easy. What we're gonna need is for her to put on a GoPro and then flip down the runway so we can get a point of view shot of it. Out of all the queens in the cast, the one that ended up having the roughest time was Q. Now listen, it's fair to say that when it came to Q's competitiveness, there was definitely a part of her that may have given her a bit of a delusional outlook on things. But is it wrong for me to say that it was in a way sort of comical? I mean, the episode where right after Rue announced Saphira as the winner of the challenge and Q's entire world shatters, as a viewer, you'd think the moment couldn't get any more uncomfortable until Saphira tells Q, quote, "I love you," and Q is so pissed that she can't even muster up a response and just stares in silence into the abyss. At the end of the day though, it really is just a TV competition, and I wish fans were able to take moments where they see someone that they don't resonate with but are able to just brush it off or laugh about it. Plus, Q did a very good job this season, and you can't deny that she deserved her spot in that top 4. So now, there's many theories going around as to why production changed the finale and reunion format for season 16. The first was that because of the actor strike, production was worried that it would end up carrying on to the reality TV industry. So just to be safe, they had the queens return 2 months after filmings had wrapped so they could do the lip sync tournament and the finale. The other reason going around was stated by Monet Exchange on Sibling Rivalry, who said that production was just sick of the spoilers leaking in the live finale, which is why they decided to go with this change. Yet neither one of these reasons seem very reliable to me, especially Monet's claim, because I mean, why are they worried about the finale spoilers specifically when their entire season's elimination order, lip sync songs, and even runway themes gets leaked every year? But anyways, I was really impressed by the introduction of the lip sync tournament as a replacement for the reunion episode. With every season, by the time we get towards the end, there's less and less queens. So to have this moment where we got to get excited once again for the entire cast, with there being actual stakes for them to prove themselves to get a cash prize of $50,000 was a great way to spice things up. What's even better is that I'm not even sure producers were expecting Megami to come out of nowhere as the underdog that became the lip sync assassin last minute. But it was one of those perfect organic moments that made it fun to root for Megami. In regards to the final 3, we have Nymphia Wind, Saphira Crystal, and Plain Jane, all representing very different types of reigns depending on who gets chosen as the winner. Nymphia got critiqued this season for wearing a lot of yellow within her runway package. The constant incorporation of the color ended up getting on some people's nerves, for quote, beating them over the head with branding. I didn't personally mind. I mean, the few times that I caught myself noticing how often she was doing it, she tended to then go the next couple episodes showcasing a lot more variety with her color patterns. But even with the yellow looks that we did see, at least there was a very clear difference in design or concept. And Tina Burner Burner's case, most of the looks where she incorporated the red, yellow, and orange pattern almost looked like parallel versions of a McDonald's uniform. Plain Jane had probably the most successful run of the season, and I'm not just talking about challenges. Plain had a clear goal in mind when she walked into competition. She was there to play the role of a reality TV star, and make sure that she was giving out her unwanted opinion whenever it was possible. Don't get me wrong, I understand the arguments made by people that didn't like Plain, where they said that Plain isn't a good villain because everything she did felt so forced, or I guess too manipulative in terms of wanting to create conflict with queens like a mandatory meeting. But like, that's only true to an extent, because yeah, it was very forced the way that she'd insult Amanda, but the moments we got like Amanda talking back to her, or the other queens seeing through the bullshit and being overplaying shenanigans, that was all real. So it just depends on your outlook of what you consider good drama. Moving on to Sapphira Cristál, it should be very clear by now that track records don't matter. So it's no longer set in stone that somebody's gonna win just because they did the bet in terms of success in the challenges. That being said, it's a pretty valid way of arguing why someone should be given a crown. Some people have argued that Sapphira Cristál gives off the same narrative that Sasha Colby had on season 15, where she was this older seasoned queen that was really good at pretty much all of the challenges while being super mature and never getting into drama. To me, the only reason I think Sapphira could make a tiny bit more sense to receive the crown over the other two is because when I think of these three queens returning to All Stars, I see opportunity for Nymphia Wind or Plain Jane to show more of their growth, not just with their drag, but also at a personal level. Yet in Sapphira's case, while we'd still see a display of amazing talent, she really did sort of provide us with every facet of herself this season, none of which had areas that she needed to improve drastically on. So for this reason, I think that it would make a tiny bit more sense for her to get the crown, but regardless of who gets it, I'm gonna be super happy. Something that they need to implement when they do season 17 is to please do a top 3 again. It was refreshing to see them do it this time around, and it heightened the level of power with the finalists too. Season 16 is airing its finale today. More than likely, by the time you're watching this video, we will know who Rue decided to crown as the main franchise winner of 2024. It was a fun ride that's kind of sad to see come to an end. I mean, there was a lot of fun conversations that rose among the fan base as the episodes aired that made for some very memorable moments. Most of the challenges this season were structured well throughout. My personal favorite has to be the girl group challenge, which to this day they haven't made any of these remixes available on streaming platforms, which I'm confused about because you'd think by now World of Wonder would be on top of that. But anyways, I know this video didn't follow the normal super research structure that I normally do, but I wanted to do something to commemorate the end of the season. I'd like to take a moment to thank my patrons. In the Elite Pink Squad, we have Matthew Burns, Gay Uncle, Poppers Alberta, Sarit Tish, Natasha De Leon, and Las Patitas. And in the Green Squad, we have Azure, Cayman Rider Furry, Edgar Allan Pup, IJS, Not a Punch But a Keek, Jack Beck, Aaron W, Milk Forever, Captain Chaos, Bashir with the good beard, and Galeria Gomez. If you'd like to see your name on the screen, you can support me on Patreon. The link will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as we are almost at 100k. Give this video a like and comment below what you thought about it, and I'll see you guys next time.